Okay, so today what we're going to do is draw a one-point perspective landscape. So step one, make sure your paper is horizontal so we have the most room for our landscape. Now, in our landscape, we're going to draw buildings on the right and some sort of trees or water or even other buildings on the left. So the first thing is making sure our paper is horizontal, and then we're going to take our ruler. Somewhat in the middle of our paper, we're going to draw a horizon line. This is where our sky and our ground meet. So up here's the sky, down here's the ground. Now, somewhat in the middle of that horizon line, you're going to draw a little dot. This is the vanishing point. This is it. The closest things are to the vanishing point, the smaller they're going to be, okay, because they're going to start to vanish in our eye of sight. Okay, the farther or the closer they are to us and away from the vanishing point, they're going to be larger. So let's do our buildings. To start our buildings, we're going to draw a guideline for the top and a guideline for the bottom of our building. So take your ruler, go from your vanishing point somewhat to the bottom of your paper. Mine, you want to make sure that it's kind of on an angle, somewhat towards the corner. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the corner, but you do want it going to the direction of the right corner of your paper. Okay, so this is going to be the guidelines for a building, meaning that this is going to be the tops of our buildings, and this is going to be the bottom of our building. And because our buildings will be in one-point perspective, we're going to see two sides of them, one of the side and one of the front. So we're going to have two pieces of our building. So let's start. We're going to draw vertical lines going across within this triangle. So this is going to be the side of building 1. And then we're going to slide our ruler over a little bit and draw another line going straight up and down. Notice that the line stays within those guidelines because remember, this is the bottom and this is the top. Okay, these are both for building 1. So if it's easier for you to remember, you can lightly put a 1 on both of those lines so you remember that is for building 1. Now we're going to do the same thing for building 2, staying within those two lines. And slide it over, draw another line, and these are both for building 2. Now we want a third building. If you have room for 4, go ahead and fit them in, but we're just going to do 3. So this is building 3, and this is building 3. Okay, so now what we're going to do is like in between buildings, we have alleyways. So we're going to draw those little lines that show that these buildings are going in depth. Now for the first one here, part of our building gets cut off. So we're not exactly going to see it, but we will see it on building 2. So that first space on building 2, right here, the first rectangle, if we're going from the edge of our paper, go to that corner on the bottom. That little corner right here. You can use your ruler for this, or you can just draw it in. We're going to draw a straight line going out, just like that. This is going to be the walkway or the space in between the buildings. And we're going to go ahead and do that same straight line going across up here. Okay, see how that makes a triangle? Go ahead and erase the top line of that triangle. You will start to see the buildings taking shape. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing over here for building 3. That first rectangle on building 3, we're going to make it go inward, right from the corner. Again, that's the side view in the space. Then we're going to do the same thing up here at the top, creating that triangle. We're going to take our eraser and erase the top of that triangle. Okay, now back here, we don't have a building 4. So I'm going to erase just that top line right here because I don't have a building 4. So here we have our 3 buildings. You see that the 2 sides right here is building 3, building 2, and building 1. Go ahead and take your eraser and erase the line going through your buildings, but leave it in that little space at the end. We no longer need that horizon line showing in our buildings. You want to erase it enough. If you still see a little bit, that's okay. You can always cover it up or go over your drawing with marker or Sharpie later and erase it better. But here we have our 3 buildings now. So now you're ready to add windows, doors, a rooftop, whatever you would like, maybe some brick to your buildings. But as we're doing these doors and our windows, we have to remember that everything needs to be pointing to our vanishing point. So I'm going to start erasing the numbers in my building, and I'm going to start with the doors. I'm going to put the doors facing the street. So in order to draw the top of our doors, I am taking my ruler and I am angling it from the vanishing point to about where I would like the top of my door to be. Now these look pretty good. So my doors all have to angle that same way to my vanishing point. So notice that my ruler is lined up. I'm drawing the lines going across my paper, just like that. These are going to be the top of my doors. So now I'm going to draw them going straight down. If you feel comfortable enough to do this freehand, you could do this freehand. I'm going to draw them. And because these lines are going straight, your doors will be going straight. Okay, so there's the front door of all my buildings. You can add a little doorknob, or if you want to like draw maybe a little design like this door is split down the middle. Maybe this one is 2. Then maybe this one has a little doorknob. Okay, so now that we have doors on all of our buildings, we need some windows. So again, if it's on this side, remember that we're having to have everything go through our vanishing point. Okay, so here I'm going to draw another line. These are going to be at the top of my windows. And I'm angling the line from the vanishing point to the side of the paper. And these are going to be the bottom of my windows. Okay, going to draw some of that in. I'm going to switch it up and make some of these double. Okay, so there's my windows in front. Now I want some windows on the side. So remember that, see how these lines are going straight side to side, because we're facing those straight on. Our windows are going to be perfect squares or rectangles. So they're going to be flat at the bottom, not angled like these. And then also straight on the sides. Just like that. I'm going to add a third one down here. I want each of my buildings to be a little different, so I'm going to make my windows a little different. I'm going to put a little extra on that far one, maybe just one up here, maybe a few over here. Just like that. So here now we have 3 buildings and we have buildings with doors. So if you want to do a design, you could either leave the buildings as is and paint them or draw color on them, or you could add things like bricks or like shiplap, which would be straight lines. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you wanted, say this center one right here is a brick building, I'm going to have all my bricks angled to my vanishing point. So remember, we're going from that point, we're going to draw a line, and then we move it down, keeping our ruler on that vanishing point. And every layer brick needs to be angling towards your vanishing point. So as I do this, I keep pulling my ruler down, but keeping it facing that vanishing point. Okay, and remember to jump over those windows. You don't want any bricks going through your window. I'm going to keep doing this even as I go down. Okay, so you keep angling it. So if you're close to the horizon line, most likely your lines are going to be straight. And then as you go above and below that horizon line, your lines are going to angle. If you're going above the horizon line, they will angle up. If you're going below the horizon line, your lines will angle down. And I'm going to just basically keep doing this until I touch the very bottom of our building. Let's see, we could probably fit one more row. There you go. Now for the side of the building, we're just going to go to the where they meet and draw a straight line. Because that's the view that we're seeing straight on. Just like that. Now, if you like it to look like wood, you can leave it like this. Or if you want to make it into like more of a kind of brick stone look, put some lines and kind of scatter them unevenly to create that kind of like stone brick look. And remember, all these lines, because they're vertical, are going up and down. And you're going to need to do this for the whole building once you start. go. And then we're going to go on this side. Do the same thing, kind of scatter them around. And there we go. We have bricks facing all of our buildings. Now, if you like that look, you could do something similar to the others, or you can just leave it. Also, if you want to design your windows, you can start doing that now. Like if you want to see some curtains maybe kind of poking through on your windows, you could draw those in. Or if you want them to kind of have those wooden separators in between to screen them off, you could draw that in. Just remember to keep that angle. And that's how you're drawing your buildings in one perspective. So now, since we have some space and my buildings are kind of open, we're going to add a sidewalk. And just like anything, our sidewalk has to go from our vanishing point. So it's going to go from the vanishing point to the bottom of our paper. And I'm going to do that same thing for the other side. I want a sidewalk on both sides of the road. And I roughly want them about the same distance. So I want it to be about there. Okay, and it goes from the vanishing point to the bottom. Now to draw the sidewalk, there's streams, but I want the little squares that show the sections of the pavement. So I'm going to take my ruler and draw a horizontal line going across. And remember, because they're parallel to your horizon line, that you want to keep them going straight. And as I go up closer and closer to my vanishing point, my squares are going to get closer and closer, / smaller and smaller. Because it is the vanishing point is where everything disappears. We're almost there. Your lines might get so close too that they look like they're kind of touching, and that's okay. Because when it's so far away, it's very hard to see clearly, and you will look like they're slightly touching. And then there's our sidewalk. Hey, now you get to have fun and kind of design the left side of your paper. Just remember that everything has to be just like your buildings, and the idea that everything is going to get smaller as it comes to your vanishing point. So if you're doing a tree or a wall or water, okay, everything is going to get smaller. So what I'm going to draw on this side is actually a boardwalk. So I'm going to draw like a little wooden kind of fence. So, and then some water. So I'm going to have those little wooden rectangular posts, and I'm going to scatter them out like about every two spaces of the sidewalk. Okay, that should be the top part. So I know. Remember, they all have to kind of line up to your finishing point. Okay, so that's the top. I'm going to erase that line. I no longer need its help. I'm going to erase that. And I do kind of on those little ropes. I want to draw on the top here. So these are those little wooden posts. And then we're going to draw the rope. Notice they're thicker in front, and as it goes back, again, it gets thinner and thinner. Okay. And then maybe some beach. So I'm going to draw kind of a little line indicating where the water and the sand meet. So this is all going to be sand right here when I start painting. And then this is going to kind of be my water area. If you want to draw a boat, you can draw a boat. I'm going to add right here a palm tree. Remember, it is the closest thing in my picture, so it's going to be relatively tall. I'm just going to kind of draw loosely in these shapes. Of the leaves. Okay. Erase any lines in my palm tree from the water or the sand. Okay, and then there is my landscape. So you can add any kind of details. If you want to draw a car coming down your road, some people walking, you could do a really pretty sunset or anything else to your picture. Okay, so that's basically how you're going to draw your 1-point perspective landscape. If you want to get really detailed, you could do something like this too. You can add even more details to your building, creating rooftops, chimneys. You could do front porches, fences, whatever you would like to your picture. Just remember, you need your 3 buildings, and then have fun and be creative on the left side of your paper.